it's like the Wii waiting room. That I love that was the opening line. Mo and I were just discussing that we should have some music options to open the show, and I like a little bossa nova. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. We are live on Instagram, YouTube, X, and Twitter. X and Twitter. Wow, what? Hello. YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever. Yeah, we're live. Hi, good morning. Actually, we were discussing that we should have some music that comes on. There's always music playing in my head, so there's always something going there. But so today, other than finding out that it's been like 80 degrees where you're at, which, boo, I wish it was 80 degrees here. It's freaking cold.
It's nice this time of year. The onslaught of the heat and the humidity and in nary a month will, be oppressive, but yeah, take it where you can get it.
Thanks for joining us, Hamlin, Florida. We appreciate you being here. This is Social Surge with Fly and Mo, where we talk about everything that's happening in social media and what you should be doing with that information. So today we actually wanted to go over some of the things. We've been talking about this report that came out from, and now I'm going to forget who it came out from. Do you remember?
Is this Metricool?
Thank you. There we go. That's what it is. From Metricool, that kind of goes over what you should be doing on social in 2025. Lots of valuable information. Commercial Ben on Instagram. Thanks for joining us. Good morning. And why should you? Well, one of the things we could talk about is why should you be paying attention to any sort of this, like any information like this? Well, when you have giant companies like this, like Metricool, that are in this business and they're putting together these reports, you actually want to pay attention to them because they have that information on how you can strategize for the year on what you should be doing. Dwayne Burris has already jumped in the chat. He says, what do you think about people expressing their political views all the time? I have thoughts. Fly, what do you have thoughts on about that?
I'm going to defer to a few people who I think would be really excellent examples of this, especially for brokers. Like, you need to understand who your audience is. I've seen some brokers who have gone really hard into their political views and perspectives, and like it's not going to. Okay, what do I want to say? I think you need to know your audience. And I think that you, if you know your audience well enough, and if it's something that you would discuss openly with your clients and your prospects anyway, like there are some business relationships that rely heavily on people being in alignment. That's great. And I also think that some of the people who I have seen do a great job with talking about political views, people who come to mind, the first person who comes to mind is Ken Ashley. So I don't think I've ever seen Ken Ashley make a political post. And in part, I think that what he does really well, both in his positioning of himself online and in his conversations that he has with people, is he is an incredible diplomat. And when I think about the purpose of your role as a broker, it is to bring people together on who are, all coming to the same table. And one of the most incredible things that I have learned about this industry is that if you're doing it right, if you're doing negotiations right, if you're doing anything right in this industry, there are no enemies. And everybody who is coming to the table, even in a negotiation setting, is all there for the same goals. So if it is important to you that your audience, your clients, your prospects be in alignment with your views politically, then talk about it all you want. So that I'm going to stop there because this could be a whole episode in itself.
Good morning, Mr. Regalado, who is over on X. Good morning. And good morning to Cindy Banks' team, who's just joined us on Instagram. So we actually got a question from LinkedIn. Dwayne Burris Sr. asked, what do you think about people expressing their political views all the time? So I actually have thoughts on this, obviously. I always have thoughts on everything. I do agree with Fly that if it aligns with your messaging and it's conversations you would be having with clients, then it's okay to post your thoughts. That being said, I do not think ranting about certain things is appropriate because it could make you look like an asshole. Like flat out, like you don't want to be that guy, right? You don't want to be that gal. As somebody says, well, you just said asshole, whatever.
Live on LinkedIn.
But you know, you don't want
to get like a little like 17R like extra
NC-17. But you don't want to be that guy, right? You don't want to be that gal. I think you do have to know your audience, and you have to know the line between being obnoxious and not, like being able to explain it in a good way, in a way that allows people to see your personality as well as your opinion without being so boisterous that you turn off half the people that are reading your content. So that's my points. Like, definitely have thoughts about a lot of things. I don't really share my political views on social media because I understand it's not something that I've made a part of my online persona, right? And even like conversations that I have with people, it kind of, you're like, oh, maybe she's like agnostic, right? Like she just whatever, right? Like if you want to think about it that way. And I would rather you think about that way than know that I'm an extreme one way or another. I want to be here to help you with your social media and not talk about my political bent.
Yes. And so I think this is a great sort of like total answer to this question is like, what do you want to be known for? Would you rather be, so Dwayne's question specifically was like talking about politics all the time. And we have gone through a very like heavy political cycle, like through the last couple of months and continuing on, right? It's dominating a lot of the news. If you would like to be known as the person who talks about that all the time, if that's how you want people to think of you, there are some people who are very heavy into their political commentary one way or another. And when I think of them, that's the first thing I think of. I don't first think of the fact of like, oh, they're an office tenant rep, or like, oh, like they're like an industrial broker and blah, 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 right? Like that's not the first thing that's coming to mind for me. Not necessarily a bad thing because, but it's just, you need to, if it aligns with how you want to show up and how you want people to think of you, then go ahead.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And you brought up a good point. What is that top of mind awareness that you're creating when you do that? Are you creating top of mind awareness that you are a broker, or are you creating top of mind awareness that you like to share your political opinions or your views, regardless of who's listening or paying attention? If you wanted to be a political pundit, then that should have been your job. But you are a broker, and your job is to lease space. It is to sell a building. It is to help do whatever. It is not to spout your views everywhere. That's not to say that you can't, but there is a time and a place for everything. And it should be timely. Like if you are going to talk about political stuff, it should be timely. You shouldn't be bringing up stuff from 4 years ago.
And don't fight people.
Oh my Lord.
Don't fight people on the internet. Just don't do
it. Please don't. Unless we can record it and then we can play it and then make fun.
I saw some tweets yesterday, Mo, that I was like, oh, we're gonna screenshot that.
Mo's wall of shame. Mo's wall of shame. There's some wild stuff. Okay, so what should brands do in 2025? Let's get back. That was a great question, Dwayne.
Great question, Dwayne.
What brands should do in 2025 based off of the metrical report that they released last week or the week prior. So going back, video, and more video.
Video.
You should be prioritizing TikTok and Instagram for video engagement. Of course, TikTok continues to lead for engagement, and Reels on Instagram and YouTube Shorts are crucial alternatives if TikTok gets banned. Now, here's my thoughts on this. You should, as many platforms as you can be on, you should be on them. And I say that with this caveat. Please make sure that the platform that you're on, you are aware of what can be done on that platform and what cannot be done on that platform. Obviously, yes, you can do horizontal now on TikTok. Should you? Probably not. You're not doing any like cinematic stuff. Like, there's this one guy that I follow on TikTok, or I don't even know if I follow him. I know that he shows up on my For You page. He goes to people who have really nice muscle cars and like they're pumping gas, and he's like, hey, can I record you? And then of course they find this beautiful straightaway where they can like run their car and it's gorgeous, and he uses a drone, but you want to turn it sideways so you can watch it in horizontal format or landscape format, whatever you want to call it. And it's amazing. Yeah. You talking about a building? No, not so much. Like, it doesn't have that cinematic effect unless you're super special and that's what you do. Good morning, Corey Zelnick, who joined us on Instagram. So it just depends on the platform. Please pay attention to the platform. Know how many hashtags you can put on a platform. Know what kind of links you can put on a platform. Can you put links in the copy on Instagram? The answer is no. No, you can't. No, you can't. So every time you put a link in the copy, in the post on Instagram, nobody can do anything with that. Back in the day, my favorite phrase, you were able to actually copy and paste it. And that we would say copy and paste link into new browser window. That was like the call to action. You can't do that anymore. It's not possible. So just know which platform you're putting your content out on and what you can do with it. So they're saying create episodic binge-worthy content to retain engagement. I don't know if that's necessarily you're able to do, right?
I have some thoughts about this.
Okay.
So I want to like expand our thinking a little bit, not you and me with our one brain cell, but just like when we're talking about episodic binge-worthy content, the thing that comes to mind is like television, right? Like the kind of television. Oops, I have a guest. Her shoes are indeed on the right foot.
Nice. I don't think mine are.
Episodic binge-worthy content, a television show or something that you are going to like, you're going to sit down and you're like, oh, I got to have a lot of this again. Hold on. Love. Okay. So are you going to create a television show version of all of your social media presence? Maybe not for the beginning. I mean, but then you can also go look at somebody like Sirhan. You know what I mean? But I think that the thing for me here that I want to highlight about episodic and binge-worthy is episodic means that it is linked together. And the way that I see people do this really well on social media, especially in video content, is they're using the same formats. They're using the same, the same visual cues. And that's so when you show up in somebody's feed, they know exactly what it's all about. One of my favorite series that I've seen is Tyler Bindy's, and I forget his counterpart, but Breakdown and a Bite, where they like go and stand in front of a retail property and they are like talking about, market insights and things like that. You can even look at, of course, the great Bob Neckel, like BK, like he has series that the two of you and that he does. And those have evolved over time, but it's like every time I see a knackle nugget pop up, like I know exactly what that is. And so creating episodic content to me means like you have an established format that you're repeating, that like you're potentially building on over time. Gabe Marin's like 60-second videos, right? Like my cold calling videos. You see my face pop up on the screen. I got to start making calls again. And you know exactly what's going to happen. And so you create an expectation, you create familiarity in that way. Binge-worthy content in this context as well means like if your content is engaging in this way, somebody is going to click through onto your profile and see more and more and more, and they're going to like get deeper and deeper and deeper down the funnel. I find that people who commit to developing a series and really fine-tuning and calibrating what's working for them in that way will end up, whether they like it or not, create binge-worthy content, because you will pull people in by creating that familiarity. So that's what I got on that.
So I love this conversation, and here's the reason why. Because we talk about CREI Summit, we're talking about programming, and this, I think, so maybe we should make a note of this. This would be great to teach a class on how to create an episodic video series and how to storyboard it, because it's not just, okay, I'm going to go do this. No, you need to have a plan. There actually has to be a reason behind it. So like in 2017, I started doing videos on Facebook, and it was the Marketing Minute, where I would talk about what was happening in marketing, right? And sometimes it was a rant of me just going off on how stupid Facebook was. But I was always talking about like a point about something that was happening within Facebook, Instagram at that time. And I did that. The goal for me was I just wanted to start doing one video a week. I ended up doing 2 videos a week for almost 2.5 years. It was a long time. But as I go back through and they pop up in my Facebook memories, right? And I laugh because I'll see something that I was talking about in 2017 that is still relevant today. And I'm like, dude, I was talking about this, 5-6 years ago. This is crazy that it's still absolutely relevant to what's happening now, and how as much as things have changed in marketing, lots of things have not, including storytelling, and how important it is to get that story out there. So when you're thinking about creating this video content, have in mind that it's not just creating a video just to create a video. You want to, I talk about the 3 E's all the time: engage, entertain, and educate. It's kind of this whole thing, like, how are you going to keep people's attention? How are you going to continue to bring them back to you so that when they do see Fly's face pop up because she's doing cold calls, they're going to pay attention. They're going to like, oh, Fly just contacted a new person. Totally want to hear this one, right? Or they can go back and binge watch a whole bunch of 40-second clips, right? Because I don't know, how long are those? How long do you make them? Your mic's off.
They are 1 minute or less.
See, 1 minute or less, right? So she already knows that format, and she knows what to do and how to get it in place. And then, of course, with that content should be shared across multiple platforms. I don't know. Are you on TikTok?
I am personally not on TikTok. I have run brand TikToks. I'm just like, that TikTok is the one for me that's like lower on the list, but cross sharing happens.
Yes. So I've talked about this before. Repurpose.io. Repurpose.io is an amazing. What was that? Did you hear that?
No.
Oh, that was weird. I think something went across the mic or something like that. That was funny.
I don't know, man. There's ghosts in my office.
Repurpose.io is a great platform to use if you want to repurpose your content, and it makes it super easy. I've heard that they've really fixed the platform, so give that a look. I used it before. Rod, he heard it. Thanks, Rod. Yeah, it was the wind. Woo. Okay, so. For me, TikTok, I don't use it as a brand, which is, I probably should. I do run for other people, but I don't use it for me as a brand. TikTok is more of, TikTok is more for me like personal entertainment, I guess, is in that respect.
Yes, this is why, okay, this is a really important delineation I think that we could make is like because you can cross share and repurpose content across platforms, there really is no reason to not be on a platform. If you're already producing video on one, you may as well dump it on the other. It's a little extra work, but it's there and you're only going to reach more people. However, we all know, you and I better than most, that posting on social media and creating content and producing it and posting it is literally a full-time job. Literally a full-time job. So if you are a broker who is needing to make calls and get listings and close deals, not necessarily going to have the time able to dedicate to being on social media on that level. So if you do need to prioritize which apps you're going to be on, you want to think about the audience that those apps are going to reach and the reason that they're showing up there in the first place. This is why LinkedIn is my personal recommendation for if you're going to get on only one app, if you can only prioritize one, because it is the only app that is specifically dedicated to a business environment and like theme. Like it's work themed, it's business themed. None of the other apps are that way. You can find any niche on any app, and like LinkedIn is getting more and more popular, but people come here to create relationships, to network, to connect with their prospects, to connect with their clients. There's no other app that's dedicated to that, which is why it is so powerful. As much as people who are not on LinkedIn like want to be like, oh, LinkedIn's dumb.
Right. And if you listen to Gary Vaynerchuk at all, he has talked about the last probably year and a half about how LinkedIn is where you're going to get organic reach, unlike any other platform right now, which I 100% agree with him. If you had asked me, 8 years ago what I thought about LinkedIn, I'd be like, who cares about LinkedIn? But now I see so much value in it, particularly when you are making those connections. And we can just on a Beth Azar has talked about this a lot. She uses her DMs on social media to connect with business owners. If you're in retail leasing, and you need a use, go onto your social platforms and use it and jump into your DMs and start connecting that way. Why? Because a lot of the people that run the social media are the owners of the business. They don't have a social media manager. It's them. They're doing it. So don't poo-poo a platform just because you're not on there. But at the same time, you also have to know where your audience is. My audience is not on TikTok. LinkedIn was out 8 years ago. Yes, LinkedIn was out 8 years ago. I don't know. I don't think my audience might be on TikTok, but I'm not creating enough video content, me personally. I'm not, I don't, even though I've been doing these videos and stuff like that, I don't have time to sit and cut up my own content. That's the life of a social media manager. You don't have time to do your own stuff. I got a tweet yesterday. Can I be your social media manager? And I was like,
that was so funny.
It was good. Yes. Listen to Gary Vaynerchuk. Yes, definitely. Please do. He's a great person to listen to. If you haven't read any of his books, highly recommend. Jab, 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 Right Hook is a fabulous book on not just on marketing, but on social. There's just a whole bunch of different things you can do. On Thursday, we're going to be discussing the marketing. Oh my gosh, what was the name of the report? Can you find it for me? I already forgot. This DNA of CRE. That's what it is. And we're going to be discussing on Thursday what the marketing side. So there's two reports. There's one for brokers. There's one for marketers. If you didn't know that already, I think the website's called DNA of CRE. And we're going to be discussing the marketing report on Thursday. Very excited to get into that because it's very specific to this audience of brokers and what you should be doing on social. We'll still continue to go through the metricool. Last thing I want to say about what they had to say is in 2025, it is quality over quantity. Optimize your posting strategy. I get asked this all the time. How often should I post? Your posting cadence is dependent upon how comfortable you are with the platform. I come from an era where we were posting probably every 2 hours on Facebook, right? And this was business pages. So when I tell a client hey, please don't post over me, you know that I'm going to be posting between this time and this time, and I'm not looking for your post, please do not post. And there's a reason why. There's an absolute reason why. The platforms will think that you're spamming, and they'll actually deprecate your post. It'll go further down the feed, be seen by less people, because the platform is like, well, why did they post? They don't normally post twice in an hour. This is weird. This is not normal. It's inauthentic behavior. Okay. But now on Twitter, on X, on the other hand, you could probably tweet every minute and it would be fine. At least it used to be. Now, I don't know. I don't know. The algorithm is probably going to be like, oh, this is inauthentic behavior. But the point being is that it has to be comfortable to you. If you're a person that's just getting used to posting on social media and you want to go balls to the wall 7 days a week, please, sweet baby Jesus, have enough content to do that, right? Because you have this great idea. Yes, I want to post all the time. Okay, that's great. I love it. Let's talk about this. Let's discuss how this is going to go. Oh, looking at your strategy, you really only have content for 2 days a week, right? So don't try to keep up with the Joneses one, because that's a big thing. Like, oh, I see so-and-so posting all the time. Yeah, so-and-so has content for days. So-and-so can post like that. You currently do not have that. Let's build it up. Let's build up a strategy. Let's take a look at what we want to share. But post consistency is super important. So if you commit that for 3 months, you are going to post twice a week, choose the days of the week, be it Tuesday, Thursday, it could be Thursday, Friday, it could be whatever, right? Choose those days and post on those days. That's what I have to say about that.
I love it. I love it. Yes. The best plan is the one that you're going to do.
It's just like, what's the best CRM? The one that you use.
Yes.
So what's the best plan? The one that you're going to stick with. Okay, so next on Thursday, we are going to be discussing the DNA of CRE marketing report. I hope you guys can join us. We'll be back here at 5:30 a.m. Pacific. Where are you? You're Central? 7:30?
I am Central Time. 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, 6:30 Mountain.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys. We'll see you then. Bye.